Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. So here recently we have been getting some hints that the Nintendo Switch is going to have another massive year, as they are currently forecasting another 25.5 million units to be sold for their fiscal year. And we've heard that they do hope to produce up to 30 million Switch units in this fiscal year. That is insane, of course, but you have to wonder, what will help them reach these lofty numbers? And it all seems to point to a big holiday. Not only did Nintendo reveal 2 key release dates today, but also some games and Nintendo plans are starting to leak out as well. So we're going to talk about that today, as well as a Switch-like Valve handheld and one of PlayStation Plus's best game lineups yet. And then we also have some Xbox news to talk about, as we got some confirmation about their E3 plans. So yeah, we do have a lot to talk about today. Before I get started though, make sure to hit that bell notification and subscribe button to keep up to date with all of the latest gaming news. I do cover the news from Monday through Friday every single week, and oftentimes you do learn about things before the average fan as we stay on top of things over at this channel. So make sure to subscribe, but with that said, let's jump right into the news. And to start things off, unfortunately we do have to talk about another game delay. This one is for Axiom Verge 2, which is actually a game that I'm really excited about. I do like Metroidvania games a lot, as you all probably know. This is one of my favorite genres, and the first Axiom Verge is one of my personal favorites, alongside games like Ori, Hollow Knight, and Metroid. Unfortunately though, the release date for Axiom Verge 2 is being pushed back to Q3 of 2021. The original hope was to release it in the first half of 2021, but we'll have to wait a little bit longer than originally expected. Now, Thomas Happ didn't exactly go into detail on why Axiom Verge 2 is being delayed, but I think we can actually go back to its previous delay and kind of figure out as to why. Last year when it first got delayed, he did note that the enemies are more sophisticated and the art style is more complex than in the first game. So that's probably still the case here. We're just looking at an overall more complex game to develop, and I actually view that as a positive. It sounds like Axiom Verge 2 is going to add some new interesting things, and it's absolutely a game that definitely deserves the best. So I just say, go ahead and take your time and make the best game you possibly can. Yeah, I'm excited to play it myself, but at the same time, I'll patiently wait. And more importantly, stay healthy while developing your game. No, there's no need to crunch here. Moving on, we need to talk about that Valve handheld yet again. We talked about this yesterday, as there was some strings in the most recent Steam client update that suggested that Valve might be working on a device that sounds an awful lot like a handheld. I mean, it references something called Steam Pal, it has a game list, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, power, sleep, shutdown, and if you start to put things together, yeah, it sounds like whatever this device is a handheld. Well, that was just speculation at the time, but we've got an update since then that seems to confirm the internet's suspicions. Ars Technica posted a big article about how they and their trusted sources have heard that Valve is indeed working on a Switch-like handheld. This handheld's prototype is reportedly wider than a Switch and can be docked into larger monitors using a USB-C cable. Of course, this is just a prototype, so that could change in the future. Maybe with a full release it comes with something like a docking station. Exact specs and how these features will work is still unknown for the time being, but this article also mentioned a touchpad, which I noted yesterday that I would be interested in seeing if Valve would include. Well, they did say that the prototype does have 2 analog sticks and 1 thumb-sized touchpad, in addition to having a touchscreen as well. Now, if you've ever used a Valve controller, you'll probably know what I'm talking about with a touchpad. It can be customized to emulate a mouse, a trackball, buttons, an analog stick, or even a D-pad. It's very versatile, and it's actually kind of cool in my opinion. I'd like to see if they could upgrade that further, because it is an interesting piece of technology. Now, I don't think it worked well as a mouse per se, like I originally hoped it would, but with the addition of gyro motion controls, it can be very accurate for shooters. The touchpad is also good for more PC-driven games like classic computer RPGs as an example. Ars Technica also noted that Steam Pal will be a Linux machine rather than Windows. That's not really all that surprising. Now, with that said, there still are a lot of questions about this device. We don't know the price or the specs. Both of those are absolutely critical, and it will be very interesting to see what they do here. I am at least intrigued by all this though, because I do like handheld games, and I think Valve has the potential of doing something special here with PC games on a handheld. I mean, yeah, there's plenty of third-party devices like this already, but Valve being a platform holder and a great developer on top of that could end up streamlining a handheld like this and really get the ball rolling for mobile Steam games. I'm definitely interested in this myself, and the good news is that we'll likely get an official announcement for this device by the end of 2021. It wasn't long ago when Gabe Newell was kind of hinting that we would see something console related with Valve by the end of the year, and I do suspect this is what he was teasing. Let's talk about PlayStation though. There's been a lot of PlayStation news here recently, and that's a good thing. I really enjoy when all the big three is active in the news cycle, and today PlayStation revealed one of their best PlayStation Plus lineups yet. Now, they've been doing a great job with PlayStation Plus monthly games since the launch of the PS5, but I was especially impressed with this particular lineup, and I'll explain why. So I've mentioned this in the past with Xbox Game Pass, but day one releases for subscription services is huge in my opinion. This is one big reason I love Xbox Game Pass just so much, and PlayStation is starting to do that a little bit more with PlayStation Plus. And in fact, for the month of June, you'll have access to 3 games, 2 of which are day one releases. Now, these aren't blockbuster games or anything like that, but Virtua Fighter 5 is a remake, and I do expect that game to be great for fighting game fans. Operation Tango, on the other hand, though, is a bit of a wild card. I think it looks interesting personally. It's a cooperative spy adventure where each player takes a completely different playstyle and point of view. One player plays as the hacker while the other plays as the agent. That could make for some interesting gameplay scenarios with puzzles and everything like that. I'm going to check this game out for sure myself. Now, Operation Tango is only for the PS5 version, but I believe you can still add that to your library on your computer. As for the third game, this is also a relatively new high-quality game, being Star Wars Squadrons. It released late last year to positive reviews, and it's just a nice inclusion for PlayStation Plus. But yeah, I'm very impressed with this lineup, and I'm really starting to like PlayStation Plus. I wasn't really big into this service until the PS5, but they have made it more than worth it in the last 6 months or so with all these day one releases. Now meanwhile, Xbox actually confirmed their E3 plans. If you've been watching News Dose regularly, a lot of this kind of already leaked, but now we got an official confirmation for Xbox's E3 plans. It will take place on June 13th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and in fact, it will be a combined Xbox Bethesda event. And when we first started to hear about this, it had me wondering, how long will this event be since both of them usually have pretty lengthy separate events? Well, it officially will be 90 minutes long, which is actually about the same as Xbox events in the past. It doesn't look like the inclusion of Bethesda will add a significant amount of length, but this could be a special E3. Now, I'm not saying go in with unrealistic expectations or anything like that. You should always keep your expectations in check, but this is the first time ever that we're seeing an Xbox Bethesda event like this. That right there alone is very exciting. We're going to see how the dynamic duo works together. Now, what should we expect here? Well, from these key arts revealed today, it's clear that Halo is going to be a centerpiece here. That's fairly obvious. Expect a lengthy gameplay trailer kind of showing how much it's improved since we last saw Craig. Maybe we'll even get a beta over this summer for Halo Infinite's multiplayer, though that's just me kind of hoping. If you look at the background of this key art though, it almost looks like they're teasing Starfield, which truthfully, that game is pretty much expected to be at E3 by this point. Leak after leak has Starfield at E3, so I do imagine it will be there. Having both Halo Infinite and Starfield at the same event though, both being exclusive to Xbox, that's already a good start for Xbox. I'm sure there's more hints in this key art though. Some faded numbers were spotted showing different years as an example. I'm not sure what that means, but if you have any guesses, let me know what you think about that. There's also rumors that Arcane, the studio behind Prey and Dishonored, will reveal their new game here. It's supposedly a vampire game codenamed Omen. That's a very talented studio, so that would definitely be exciting. Forza Horizon 5 is another game that could possibly be here, plus multiple rumors saying that Xbox Game Studios Publishing has some big partnerships happening. We've heard that from multiple insiders. I mean, Klobrille, a well-respected insider, says that he thinks he knows about 5 new AAA games that Xbox will reveal this summer. I don't know if all those will be at E3 per se, but if they are, that means you would have Halo Infinite, Starfield, plus 5 completely new games here, and whatever else they have to show. I think that would make for a good event, and of course, being a platform holder, they're also going to show several third-party games. Let me know what you're hoping for with this event though. Give me your expectations, and even if unrealistic, give me one dream game that you would like to see here. Mine will be Banjo-Kazooie every single year until they finally do it. I mean, sure, that might not be until 2030, but I'm gonna keep hope alive. Nintendo also had some things to reveal today. Yeah, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo was in the news today, which is always great to see, but I think we're starting to understand why Nintendo expects another massive year for the Switch. So Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl got a surprise release date today for November 19th. I was a little surprised Nintendo just dropped information like this today, but these are expected to be big games for the Switch this holiday. I know not everybody likes the art style, but Pokemon is absolutely huge, and millions upon millions will buy these games, myself included. I love the Pokemon franchise personally. Now, they also revealed the box arts, and yes, there is a combo pack as well for those who are interested. More interestingly though, they also confirmed the release date for Pokemon Arceus Legends. While the November 19th release date wasn't surprising for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, fans were not expecting a January 28th release date for Arceus Legends. That does seem a little early considering the initial trailer was rough around the edges, to say the least. I mean, it's a very ambitious Pokemon game, being different than anything that we've seen before, and I'm definitely excited to see that, but it has some very obvious frame rate issues based off its first trailer. Now, that first trailer did say that it would release early in 2022, but I think a lot of people were kind of expecting it to be later than January and possibly even be delayed further into the year. Instead, they've already committed to an official release date, and I'm seeing concern about this online. And that's where I think fans just need to kind of be patient. The first trailer was revealed back in February, so that means it will be 11 months before it officially releases. And we don't know if that trailer was the current build either, so there is a chance that they get the frame rate fixed up by the time it releases on January 28th in 2022. We need to see another trailer first before being overly concerned here. With these two games both releasing within Nintendo's fiscal year, however, it's easy to see why Nintendo is expecting a big year for the Switch, and no, that's not all either. Nintendo has big plans for the Zelda franchise this year as it's Zelda's 35th anniversary. Now, we already know about Zelda Skyward Sword HD for the Switch. That's cool and everything, but it's also widely rumored more is to come. Well, according to Game Over Jesse, which is a well-respected Zelda YouTube channel, claims that there's also an HD Zelda Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask HD in development by Grezzo. Then there's also the rumor from multiple well-respected outlets that Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD is coming to the Switch as well. So if all that happens in 2022, that is absolutely huge for the Switch. I mean, each one of these games could push millions of units apiece, and if you look at the Mario 3D All-Star Collection that released last year, it sold nearly 10 million units, and I imagine these Zelda re-releases will be big for the Switch as well, coming off the massive success that was Breath of the Wild. I mean, Breath of the Wild sold like 20 million units. Now, I would also like to see some top-down Zelda games as well, as I do prefer those games. Minish Cap, please. That is one of my favorite games, but when are we actually going to hear about all this? Again, according to Game Over Jesse, he has heard that we will get a Breath of the Wild 2 trailer at E3. And then at the end, they will announce a separate event specifically for Zelda's 35th anniversary where they will do that big Zelda blowout. This is where they will show even more Breath of the Wild 2, Skyward Sword HD, and other Zelda titles to come. Considering he does mention Skyward Sword HD will be at this event, that means we won't have too long as the game releases on July 16th. Regardless, if all this is true, we can't go in expecting all these Zelda games to be revealed next month at the Nintendo E3 showcase. We might have to wait a little bit longer, but having two events in a short period of time, yeah, I'm personally okay with that. Let's take a look at the poll of the day though, and as I mentioned earlier, it sounds like Valve is working on a handheld console. So I wanted to know if you all would be interested in a device like this. And this was a very close one, but most of you did vote for yes. And based off the comments, it sounds like these third-party PC handhelds has kind of affected your all's opinions on a Valve device like this. Like I said earlier though, Valve is a platform holder, and they also make high-quality hardware. I think if anybody could pull off a device like this, it would be Valve. I think it could be really interesting myself, though the price is what I personally want to hear about. I'm hoping it won't be too expensive, but there's a chance it might be a little pricey. The Valve Index is a very expensive virtual reality headset, and if they want to make a really high-end handheld device, it could end up being really expensive. Let me know in the comments below on the most that you would spend on a device like this. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.